The Warsaw Uprising, a struggle for freedom. The Warsaw Uprising of 1944 stands as one of the most dramatic and tragic episodes of World War II. It was a bold attempt by the Polish resistance Home Army, Armia Krajowa, AK, to liberate Warsaw from Nazi occupation. Spanning from August 1 to October 2, 1944, the uprising was marked by initial successes, fierce urban combat, and eventual brutal suppression by German forces. The aftermath saw massive civilian casualties and the near-total destruction of Poland's capital city. This essay explores the causes, key events, and consequences of the Warsaw Uprising, highlighting the bravery and suffering of the Polish people. Background and causes. Nazi occupation and Polish resistance. Following the invasion of Poland in September 1939, Warsaw fell under Nazi occupation. The German regime imposed brutal policies, including the systematic extermination of Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto and harsh repression of any resistance. Despite this, the Polish underground resistance movement, led by the Home Army, grew in strength and organization. The Home Army aimed to liberate Poland and re-establish a sovereign Polish state. Strategic considerations. By mid-1944, the Eastern Front was rapidly advancing as Soviet forces pushed westward into Poland. The Polish government in exile in London, along with the Home Army leadership, believed that a successful uprising in Warsaw could secure Polish independence before the Soviets established control. The Home Army's strategic plan, Operation Tempest, Akcja Berza, aimed to seize control of major cities, including Warsaw, to welcome the advancing Red Army as liberators rather than occupiers. The outbreak of the uprising. Initial successes. On August 1, 1944, at 5 p.m., the Warsaw Uprising commenced. The timing was chosen to catch the German forces off guard, and initial operations focused on key strategic points, including bridges, railways, and important buildings. The insurgents, numbering around 30,000 fighters, faced a well-equipped German garrison of approximately 15,000 troops. In the first few days, the Home Army managed to capture significant parts of the city, including the Old Town and the Śródmieście, city center, district. The insurgents exhibited remarkable bravery and resourcefulness, using improvised weapons and taking advantage of their intimate knowledge of the urban landscape. German response. However, the initial successes of the Home Army were met with a swift and brutal German response. Reinforcements were dispatched to Warsaw, including elite SS units and various Wehrmacht divisions. The Germans employed heavy artillery, tanks, and airstrikes to crush the uprising. Notably, the infamous SS General Erich von dem Boxalowski was appointed to command the suppression efforts. The Battle for Warsaw. Urban warfare. The fighting in Warsaw quickly devolved into intense urban warfare. The Home Army, poorly equipped and lacking heavy weaponry, relied on guerrilla tactics, utilizing the city's maze-like streets and buildings for ambushes and defensive positions. The Germans, on the other hand, used overwhelming firepower to methodically destroy insurgent strongholds. Civilian involvement. Civilians played a crucial role in the uprising, providing logistical support, medical care, and participating in the fighting. The population of Warsaw, estimated at around 1 million at the time, suffered immensely. German forces employed terror tactics, including mass executions, indiscriminate bombings, and the systematic destruction of civilian areas. The district of Walla witnessed some of the most horrific atrocities, where tens of thousands of civilians were massacred in the early days of the uprising. The role of the Allies. Limited support. The insurgents hoped for substantial support from the Western Allies and the advancing Soviet forces. However, the level of assistance was woefully inadequate. The British and Americans conducted a limited number of airdrops, but these were often inaccurate, and much of the supplies fell into German hands. The Soviet Union, despite being just across the Vistula River, did not provide the expected military assistance. Stalin's reluctance to support the uprising was influenced by geopolitical considerations, as he sought to install a pro-Soviet government in Poland. Political dimensions. The lack of Allied support had significant political implications. The Western Allies were reluctant to fully commit resources to the uprising, partly due to the complex dynamics of their alliance with the Soviet Union. Additionally, the Polish government in exile had strained relations with the Soviets, further complicating coordination and support. The fall of the uprising. Stalemate and attrition. As September approached, the situation for the insurgents became increasingly desperate. The Germans intensified their efforts, employing heavy artillery and bombing raids to flatten entire districts. The insurgents, running low on ammunition, food, and medical supplies, struggled to maintain their positions. Despite their tenacity, the Home Army's chances of victory dwindled. Final assaults. The final phase of the uprising saw the Germans launching concerted attacks to recapture lost territories. The Old Town and other key areas fell after fierce battles, and the Home Army was forced into a defensive posture. The resistance fighters and civilians sought refuge in the city's ruins and makeshift bunkers, enduring horrific conditions. Surrender and aftermath. Capitulation. On October 2, 1944, after 63 days of relentless fighting, the Home Army capitulated. The terms of surrender, negotiated by General Tadeusz Bory-Komorowski in the German command, provided for the humane treatment of insurgents and civilians. However, these terms were only partially honored by the Germans. Human cost. The human cost of the Warsaw Uprising was staggering. It is estimated that around 16,000 Home Army fighters and up to 200,000 civilians lost their lives during the two-month struggle. The city's infrastructure was decimated, with approximately 85% of Warsaw's buildings destroyed by the end of the war. The systematic destruction of Warsaw was ordered by Hitler himself, as a punitive measure against the Polish resistance. Legacy and commemoration. The Warsaw Uprising left an indelible mark on Polish history and collective memory. It symbolized the resilience and determination of the Polish people to fight for their freedom, even in the face of overwhelming odds. The courage of the insurgents and the suffering of the civilians are commemorated annually on August 1st, with a moment of silence and various ceremonies throughout Poland. The broader impact. Post-war Poland. The aftermath of the Warsaw Uprising had significant implications for post-war Poland. The devastation of Warsaw and the loss of the Home Army's leadership weakened the resistance movement, facilitating the establishment of a Soviet-controlled government. The Polish People's Republic, a communist state, emerged under the influence of the Soviet Union, shaping the country's political landscape for the next 4 decades. Historical interpretations. Historians have debated the strategic wisdom of the uprising. Some argue that it was a doomed endeavor from the start, given the overwhelming German strength and the lack of sufficient external support. Others contend that the uprising was a necessary act of defiance, a demonstration of Poland's unyielding spirit and refusal to succumb to tyranny. The uprising also exposed the complexities of the Allied relationship, highlighting the conflicting priorities and mistrust between the Western powers and the Soviet Union. Cultural impact. Literature and art. The Warsaw Uprising has been a poignant theme in Polish literature, film, and art. Numerous works have sought to capture the heroism and tragedy of the event. Among the most notable is Kanał, a film directed by Andrzej Wajda, which portrays the harrowing experiences of insurgents in the sewers of Warsaw. Additionally, memoirs and historical accounts have provided personal and collective narratives that keep the memory of the uprising alive. Museums and memorials. In modern Poland, the Warsaw Uprising is commemorated through museums and memorials. The Warsaw Uprising Museum, opened in 2004, serves as a comprehensive repository of artifacts, documents, and multimedia presentations related to the uprising. Memorials, such as the monument to the Warsaw Uprising fighters, stand as enduring tributes to those who fought and died during the conflict. Conclusion. The Warsaw Uprising of 1944 remains a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Polish people. It was an audacious bid for freedom that, despite its ultimate failure, showcased extraordinary courage and resilience. The uprising's legacy continues to resonate in Poland and around the world, serving as a powerful reminder of the human cost of war and the enduring quest for liberty. The story of the Warsaw Uprising is not just a tale of loss and destruction but also one of hope and the unbreakable will to resist oppression.